Hello and welcome back to another language session. So we are going to continue our writing skill series. We're going to learn today how to create an outline as we begin the writing process. So any writer, no matter how experienced they are, usually follows a certain three-step process before they begin to actually write. It's really important to think of your ideas and organize them first in your mind, which we call brainstorming. And then on a piece of paper or on a computer laptop, you can type out some ideas or you can write them down by hand, but do take about 3 minutes or maybe 4 minutes to create an outline. It's a very short note that's going to record your ideas before you actually start to write them out in sentence form. Once you're finished step one of the writing process, you're going to spend most of your time actually writing the paragraph itself. We call this creating the first draft or drafting. All right, you would never submit the first draft that you write ever because it's important to take the time to proofread it. So you're going to read it back from beginning to end, double checking that all your writing and grammar is correct, and also double checking that you're very happy with your ideas. So if you want to make any last minute changes to your writing, like adding ideas in or maybe taking them out, this would be the time to do so. And when you've completed each step on this writing process, you're then ready to submit your final work, which will hopefully represent your best work as well. So we're going to start today by looking at how to think of our ideas first when we're assigned a topic for writing. And I'll show you quickly how an outline might look as you record those ideas down. Next week, we'll get into actually using this outline to write the paragraph. And also we'll look at how you can edit and revise those the writing skills in the final copy. So we're going to use this as our topic for discussion today. The topic assigned is discuss one strength of your high school education. So the very first thing, if you're writing a test or completing an assignment for school, is to brainstorm. Think of as many, in this case, strengths of your own high school education as you possibly can, and write them down on a piece of paper or again on a note on the computer. All right, so just write down the first ideas that come to mind. So the first thing I can think of as I look back to my high school days were the extracurricular activities that I belonged to. Knowledgeable teachers I had. My school was close to my house. I was taught in a supportive environment. It was friendly, and there were a variety of elective classes. Okay, so this is my first list, a preliminary list of ideas that will hopefully guide my writing. Now, it's really important to note that when you're writing one paragraph, you're only able to talk about one main idea at a time. So I've recorded 6 ideas here that could be considered strengths in their own way. And I'm going to now look at my list to narrow it down to one idea only. So as I skim through these ideas rather quickly, the first thing I notice is that this third idea I've listed is really not very strong at all. Sure, I lived close enough to my high school that I could walk there, which made it convenient, but that's not really what a strength is. That's just a statement of fact. So I'm going to cross that off my list. It's not enough for me to write an entire paragraph about for academic writing. As I continue to look at my list, I do notice that 2 of my ideas are quite similar. So a supportive environment would be one that's quite friendly. So I'm just going to cross the word friendly off my list as well, leaving me with 4 examples of strengths. Now, I think if I worked at it enough and gave it some thought, I could probably write one paragraph about each of these 4 ideas remaining. I could identify the strengths or how these concepts benefited me as I went through high school. So I don't have a lot of time to spend brainstorming. I want to just pick my topics so I can start outlining and then get into the paragraph writing. So I'm just going to go with this idea at the top, extracurricular activities, because I find it the most interesting and I think I have the most to say about that. So I'll make that the focus of my paragraph for today. This whole process, the idea of reading over the question, listing down some possible ideas and selecting one, this should not take you any more than a minute. It's done very quickly so that you can then focus on generating your ideas. So this is a template. You can create your own version of a template, but use something that will help to organize your work. So the first thing that I would recommend you do is write down the topic right at the top of the outline. So that's going to keep you on track as you write your paragraph. So I've chosen to talk about the variety of extracurricular activities at my high school. Now I have to note here, I'm not just listing off activities I belong to. There is a focus for this question. And remember, I was asked to talk about a strength of my high school education. So I want to identify perhaps the skills or values that I learned from some of these extracurricular clubs I belong to, and really focus in on how they enriched my life or how they shaped me into who I am today and made me a stronger person. That's how I'm going to effectively answer this question. So I added in red there for my topic, those words enriched my life, and that's going to keep me on task as I generate my ideas. So the first thing I'll do is I'm going to think of 3 different clubs I belong to. If this were a test situation and you couldn't think of 3, you might actually have to make them up. All right, so keep that in mind. Hopefully you have enough ideas based on your own experience that you can speak from real experience because it's easier to write about. But I'm going to list drama club, concert band, and Amnesty International. Those are 3 different clubs that come to mind and that I had positive experiences in as I think about my high school days. Now remember, I don't want to simply list 3 clubs and finish my writing. That's not what the question's asking. So I'm now in this brainstorming session. I'm going to take some time to identify the skills or values that I learned under each of these clubs. I have to show that these were strengths in my schooling experiences. So thinking back to drama club, it definitely taught me teamwork, right? You're working with a group of actors on stage. Certainly sometimes when you're delivering your lines, you might forget a line or one of your acting friends might miss a cue. So on the spot, you have to solve that problem. You have to be spontaneous. And as you might imagine, speaking in front of a crowd, each performance will certainly establish really strong public speaking skills. So these are the skill sets that I'd like to focus on when I write my paragraph and talk about my experiences in the drama club. The concert band also taught me how to work as part of a team, but I want to think of skills that are different from the drama club that I listed above. I need to showcase a variety of ideas and of vocabulary too in my writing. So I'm really going to hone in here on the skills or the values, I guess, of perseverance and patience, because it can take weeks or even months to perfect one piece of music in order to play together as a group in unison. So I'll go with those skills. I see them as virtues or as strengths. And certainly playing music and listening to it so often established a very strong appreciation of the arts for myself, which I also consider to be a strength. It's one that I continue to enjoy today. So I'll be sure to mention that in my writing. Now, lastly here, Amnesty International, that's a pretty serious group compared to my first 2. Amnesty International is focused on identifying human rights issues and looking at ways to support people to alleviate suffering around the world. So of course, belonging to such a group would definitely establish and strengthen values of compassion and empathy for other people. As a high school student, rather than just learn about my world as it is contained to my hometown, all of a sudden I'm learning about global perspectives. I'm learning about activism and justice on a worldwide scale. So those are certainly skills that I value. So I'm going to present them as strengths, things that I learned at high school that benefit me even today. Now, before I finish my outline, just before I'm ready to start writing the paragraph itself, I will put a small concluding sentence in here, again, to keep me on track. So I have to remind myself that the whole point of writing this paragraph and identifying these clubs is to show that these are indeed strengths. These skills today I'm going to cite again are continuously used throughout my life in both personal and professional ways. So I think that on its own would make a fairly strong paragraph that would certainly answer the question at hand. Okay, the one topic, just to recap, the one topic I'm writing about is how the diverse number of extracurricular activities presented a strength of my high school experience. and I'll explain why with these examples. So with all these skills and values I'm learning, it certainly has shaped me into who I am and allowed me to thrive, both personally and professionally. All right, we're going to stop there for today. Next week, we're going to pick up where we left off, and we're going to use this exact same outline and all the ideas that we've thought of today in order to draft the first copy of our paragraph. Join me then.